Okay, welcome back. We are continuing with every exam question that has been asked. It's for Edexcel, and we're talking about these exam papers down here. We're now going to be looking at linear equations. So if you want to use this document, it is linked in the description, and it's fully hyperlinked for you to use. So something I want you to note here is that linear equations, they're often tested with other topics and not usually in standalone questions, but there are a few that are here, and there are a few equations that are in context as well. So we're going to start off with some unknowns on both sides, with a particularly tricky one with fractions that we've got here. Now, the first thing that you might want to do with this is think about what you could multiply everything by that would get rid of the divide by 4, the divide by 3, and the divide by 6. It's kind of a similar idea of thinking about what the common denominator would be. Now, I think if we multiplied everything in here by 12, we're going to get some things simplifying. So if I multiply the first part by 12, I get this, still being divided by 4. If I multiply it by 12 here, it is then dividing by 3. And if I multiply this side by 12, I get that it is dividing by 6. So all I need to do is really work out what is the 12 divided by 4. And the 12 divided by 4 is going to be a 3. So I get 3 brackets 3x minus 2. The 12 divided by 3 in the next part is a 4. And for the last part, the 12 divided by 6 is a 2. And now all that we need to do is just expand these brackets that we've got here. So I'm going to get 9x minus 6 minus 8x, careful, this is going to be a minus 20 because it's a minus 4, and that's equal to 2 minus 2x. So I'm going to collect all of the x terms onto one side. Well, let's just simplify this first actually, shall we? 9x take away 8x, that is just x, and minus 6 minus 20 is minus 26. And on the right hand side we get 2 minus 2x. So I'm going to add this 2x to the other side so that I get 3x minus 26 equals 2. I'm then going to add the 26 to the other side so that 3x is equal to 28. And then my last step is to divide by 3, and I'm going to leave that as 28 over 3. It is perfectly okay to leave your fraction, your answer, as a fraction. So quite difficult at that first stage. You could have given them a common denominator of 12, which I've just done it a slightly different way. I've just multiplied the whole thing by 12. We do have the answer 9 1/3. 9 1/3 is the same as 28 thirds that we have there. Okay, so we've got another one where there's an unknown on both sides, and first of all we've got this 2 that's down here. Now what happens when you have it in the denominator? It goes to the other side and you kind of send it up. So when we send it up, you get 2 brackets 2x minus 7. So it's dividing by 2, so now it's multiplying by 2. So we get 5 minus x. Let me just write that a little bit more neatly. 5 minus x is equal to 4x minus 14. Now all I'm going to do is get rid of the smaller x, which is this minus x. I'm going to add it to the other side so that I get 5x minus 14. I'm going to add the 14 because it's being taken away. I'm going to add it onto the 5, so I get 19 equals 5x. And now I'm going to do 19 divided by 5. And I'm perfectly happy to just leave that as a fraction. Of course, if you wanted that as a decimal, 19 divided by 5 is going to be 3.8. So you can either do 3.8 or 19 over 5. This OE here means or equivalent, which is why we've got some extra things here. Okay, we've got another linear equation with unknowns on both sides. Pretty easy, this one. We're just going to expand the brackets on the right-hand side like this. And then we're going to subtract the smaller x. So we're going to do 5x take away 3x, which is 2x. And we've still got the minus 6, which is equal to minus 3. I'm going to add the 6 to minus 3. So you can always check that on a calculator, but minus 3 plus 6 is 3. And I'm going to divide by 2, and I'm just going to leave it as a fraction as 3 over 2. But of course, you could put this as 1.5 as well. So they've got it as 1.5 or equivalent. There's that OE coming up again. Similar to one that we had before, that 7 is going to jump up, and it's going to jump up to be like a multiplication like this. So we get 9 plus x is equal to 7 brackets 11 minus x. So 9 plus x is 77 minus 7x. Now this is the smaller x. We always want to get rid of the smaller x, and even though it looks bigger, it's got the negative, which means it's lower down on the number line. So I'm going to get rid of that minus 7x by plussing it to the other side. And x plus 7x is 8x. Now we have it at this stage. I'm going to do the 77 take away 9. Of course, you can always just do this on a calculator if you want to. That is going to be 68. And my last step is to do 68 divided by 8. Now I will use the calculator just to make sure that this is simplified, so I can do 68 divided by 8. We can either write 8.5 or 17 over 2. I don't really mind which we go for. I'm probably going to go with fractions because I've done all of them as fractions. But you see that we have got the answer 8.5 or equivalent. Okay, now we've got some of them where there's either some substitution or with a bit of context going on. So it says the number of days d that it will take to build a house is given by the formula d equals 720 over n, where n is the number of workers used each day. Ali's company will take 40 days to build the house. Haley's company will take 30 days to build the house. Haley's company will have to use more workers each day than Ali's company. How many more? So this just means we're going to substitute these values into this. So I'm going to begin by doing Ali's, okay? We're going to begin by looking at Ali's, and it says that it's 40 days. So we're going to have 40 equals 720 over n. Now, if you've watched my videos on this, there's a shortcut for solving these. You can actually just make those two things switch places. So n is going to be equal to 720 divided by 40. And because it's a calculator, why not? I'll do 720 divided by 40, and we get the number of workers for Ali is 18. Now we're going to do the same process, but this time we're going to do it for Haley. Haley has got 30 days, so I'll replace d with 30, and that's 720 over n. When it's written like that, those two things can swap places. So we get n is 720 over 30. Now, the reason these are swapping places is because we're multiplying up by n, so you get 30n, and then you're doing dividing by 30. So the n is multiplying up, and the 30 is dividing down. So let's do 720 divided by 30, and we get 24. So for Haley, it is 24. And it says Haley will have to use more workers than Ali's. How many more? So we'll do 24, take away 18, which is 6 more. So she needs 6 more. Okay, there's the answer 6. We did get that one correct. Here we've got one that's blended with some ratio. So it says Kiara is 7 years older than Jay. Martha is twice as old as Kiara or Kira. The sum of their 3 ages is 77. Find the ratio of Jay to Kiara's to Martha's. So we've got J, K, and M here. Well, it says Kiara is 7 years older than Jay. So let's write down Kiara, Jay, and Martha. Now, if we call J X, Kiara is 7 years older than Jay. And we don't know, or we do know that Martha is twice as old as Kiara or Kira. So we've got twice as old, or 2 times what Kiara's is. Or you might write that as 2x plus 14. So either of those would be fine. It says the sum of their ages is 77. So we have K plus J plus Martha plus M, which is 2x plus 14, and that is equal to 77. Now it's non-calculator, so I'll do the 2x plus x, that is 4x, and we have the 7 and 14, which is 21, and that's equal to 77. So I'm going to do 77 take away 21, and 77 take away 21 is going to be 56. Again, you could work that out somewhere on the page if you need to. Now I'm going to do 56 divided by 4. Might just do a quick workout for this. 4 goes into 5 once, remainder 1, and 4 goes into 16 4 times. So that means x is equal to 14. So if we come back to this, that means that J is 14, Kira's going to be 21, and Martha is double that age, which is 42. So the ratio of J's age, because they want J to K to M, J is 14, K is 21, and M is 42. And you could try and simplify it, but it actually doesn't ask for it to be simplified, and it doesn't even simplify. So we've got the answer 14 to 21 to 42. Now we've got this one here, which again is in some kind of context, and it's with the area of a rectangle. Here is a rectangle. We've got y, 2x plus 6, and 5x minus 9. That's also going to be y. All measurements are in centimetres. The area of the rectangle is 48. Show that y equals 3. Now, something you know with a rectangle is that this side and this side are equal, and this side and this side are equal. But I think the most useful one is that this side and this side must be equal. So I'm actually just going to write that down. I'm going to write down that 2x plus 6 is equal to 5x minus 9, and I'm going to solve the equation. So I'm going to get rid of the 2x by taking it away from the 5x, which leaves me with a 3x. I'm then going to add the 9 to the other side so that I get 6 plus 9 is 15. That is equal to 3x. and then I'm going to divide by 3 so that x is equal to 5. Now that I know that x is equal to 5, I'm going to try and find out what either this or this is equal to. So if x equals 5, then we're going to get that 2x plus 6 would be 2 times 5 plus 6, which is 10 plus 6, which is 16. So we now know that this is 16. And we want to find out that y is 3. So because the area is 48, I can do 48 divided by the length or the height of it that we've got here. If I do 48 divided by 16, I will find out what y is equal to. And 48 divided by 16 is 3. So y is equal to 3 because y is 48, the area, divided by this part that we've got here. And it's a show that question, so we actually know that we've got this right. But this is the mark scheme and where all the marks come from. So we've got one more question here, I think maybe one more, maybe two. And we're going to try and answer what we've got. It says, here is a rectangle. The length of the rectangle is 7 centimetres longer than the width of the rectangle. So I'm actually going to just label that. I'm going to say if this is x, then this is 7 centimetres longer. 4 of these rectangles are used to make this 8-sided shape. The perimeter is 70 centimetres. Work out the area of this 6-sided shape. So basically, I'm going to start off, anytime I see a full length, I'm going to write x plus 7. So I have an x plus 7 there, that's a full length. I've got a full length there, so that's an x plus 7. I have a full length there, so that's an x plus 7. And I have a full length there, which is x plus 7. Now, anytime I see this kind of short length x, I'm going to label that. So I've got a short length x. I have one here, I have one here, I have one here. Now I just need to figure out what these sort of other parts in between are. Well, if you think about what's going on, if this whole thing is x plus 7, and this is x, this bit must be a 7. It's the 7 centimetres where the length is longer than the width. So that must be a 7, and that part there must also be a 7. So adding up all of these bits together, well, the red parts are 4x. The blue parts, well, there's 4 lots of x plus 7, and then there's 2 lots of 7, which is 14, and that is all going to be equal to the perimeter that they've said, which is 17. You could have counted them up in a different way. You could have done, oh, that's x plus 7, so that's 2x plus 14, and it's just taken a lot longer. So we're going to try it in this way. So we get 4x, expand the brackets here, so that is 4x plus 28 plus 14, and that's equal to 17. So I'll save a little bit of time here. I'm going to do, on my calculator, the 70, take away the 28, take away the 14, and then I've got the 4x and the 4x, so I get that 8x is equal to 28. Now I'm going to do 28 divided by 8. 28 divided by 8 is 3.5, so that means that x is 3.5. So when I go back to the original rectangle that we have, we've said that x is 3.5, and this part is x plus 7, and 3.5 plus 7 is 10.5. So the area of one shape is going to be 3.5 times 10.5. So the area of the 8-sided shape, well, there's 6 rectangles are being used. Not 6 rectangles, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 rectangles are being used. So the 8-sided shape is going to be 4 times 3.5 times 10.5. And we'll just see what that comes out as on the calculator. So we'll do 4 times 3.5 times 10.5, and we get that the area is 147 centimetres squared for this one. Let's check we've got this right. We do, we've got the 147, and you can look at the method that goes with that. So in the next one, I'm going to be looking at quadratic equations, but linear equations are going to pop up in lots of places. I just thought this would show you some interesting ways that they've been asked so far.